Hi everyone, I'm Jacob. This is Let's Code a Web App. We are going to be coding a small web app in Lisp. I expect this to be like a Let's Play, but with less playing and more coding. Okay, let's get into some of the basic expectations. I assume you know something about computers, that you have been around them, that you were familiar with them, you know where the control panel is, you know how to change your settings, you know some basic troubleshooting, how to Google your problems and find out about them, or whom to ask, things like that. This is a web app, so I will be assuming that you know HTML and CSS. Basic knowledge is fine, you don't have to know all of the CSS tricks for layout or every HTML tag, but fluency in reading them is a must-have, and basic knowledge of some other programming language. So what a variable is, what a function is, what a class is. You don't have to know anything specific to Lisp, which is the language that we will be programming this in. But maybe you've done some Project Euler type things, small projects, small things in another language, and want to take your knowledge to the next level and build a full-fledged applications. Some things that I don't expect are a beefy computer. You don't have to have a high-powered computer. I'm doing this on a more than decade-old laptop that was frankly terrible when I bought it. So it's totally fine. People seem to have this assumption that you need a lot of computing power to code, and you absolutely do not. You also don't need to know anything about math to code. Usually your mathematics involves adding things up, and adding or subtracting 1 is about as complex as most math gets if you're not doing 3D graphics or something like that while you're coding. I don't assume that you know Lisp, and I don't assume that you have my particular setup. I am running this on Linux. I'm going to be using Emacs with a plugin for Emacs called Slime, and the Lisp interpreter that I will be using is called SBCL. I will show you guys how to set up those things, but you don't have to do it. If you're a hardcore Vim person, you can code Lisp in Vim. It's awful, but you can do it. And if you insist on it, more power to you. So let's talk about building my setup. By the way, you can download all the code on this from GitHub, including this file that I have right now, which should contain all the commands that you need to run, assuming you're on Debian. If you're on another system, obviously you're going to be using a different package manager. So first you update your package manager, make sure that you have the newest package lists. I do, excellent. And then you have to install Emacs and SBCL. Usually they're in almost every distro's package distribution. SBCL version greater than 2 is pretty necessary. Next, you need to download QuickLisp. The link will be in the description and also in this org file that you can download. So you download this, sort of, I guess you could just wget it. So let's see if I can, oh, and it opened up Firefox. Okay. See if I can copy this. Bear with me for a moment. Okay, excellent. So you can just use your web browser too, but you can wget it really quickly, and it will download. And then in the directory that you download, I want you to open up a terminal and run the command sbcl --load quicklisp.lisp, or you can just copy it. You can copy it from the org file if you want to. And this will happen. You'll get a banner that says QuickLisp Quick Start Loaded. To continue with installation, evaluate this. So you can just copy it and paste it. Your terminal may warn you about an unsafe paste, but that's okay. It's not that unsafe. Okay, and it's just QuickLisp Quick Start :install. I'm gonna add this to here so you can copy it from there. Okay, and we also need to add it to the init file, and it'll show you how to do that too. So you can just copy it, paste it, press enter to continue. This will change the SBCL file so that every time you open SBCL, it will load the QuickLisp system, which is just a system. Oh, it's basically a package management system for Lisp. It allows you to install libraries, things like that very, very easily. Quick Lisp is amazing, and we're going to install our first library right now with we're going to install the Quick Lisp Slime Helper, and this will install Slime for Emacs. And I will show you what Slime is in just a second, but we have to install it first. So it's going to install on our system. It's going to take a little while. I guess I can start telling you now. So Slime is going to transform Emacs into a full-fledged Lisp IDE. This is why I recommend Emacs. Emacs is actually written in Lisp, and is an amazing Lisp IDE, and it will help us so much. Okay. So now we're going to quit. You can just press Control D or parentheses quit, close parentheses. And to just get back to your shell, you're going to have to determine what the path to SBCL is, which you do by saying which SBCL, and it'll say USR bin SBCL. So that's how you do that. It's going to put some code at the end after you run these commands that'll say, to use, add this to your tilde.emacs. Tilde.emacs is the Emacs configuration file, as you may guess. Let's see. This is where it will be on Linux and Mac OS X. I have no clue where it will be on Windows, so you'll have to do some Googling for that. But we can open our .emacs file with Emacs and copy this code. Here it is. Emacs is coming up. Emacs takes a little while. I don't like this startup screen here, so I'm just going to say never show it again. And then you can close out of that by middle clicking on that. Okay. Great, so our .emacs file is empty right now. So I'm going to paste it, which you do. You can't use Control V to paste. I know it goes against your instincts, but Control V does something else in Emacs. It's actually Control Y to paste. So we'll paste it here, and you'll see it says replace SBCL with the path to your implementation. Well, we looked that up over here. It was USR bin SBCL. So USR bin SBCL. To save a file in Emacs, you say Control X, Control S. And to close out of Emacs, you say Control X, Control C. And that is Emacs. That is how you set everything up. Now, I'm going to close out of this Emacs that I have open. So I'm going to navigate to the directory where I downloaded my code and open up the first file. I put it as beginner.lisp in the code, and voila, it's open. Never show this again. Dismiss startup screen. Great. Okay. So from here, you'll look at the bottom, it says slime. That means that we're in slime mode. That's great. To actually start the slime interpreter though, you have to say Alt-X, type in the word slime, and enter. And this will, you can see SBCL is loading. And this gives us a slime, it's called a REPL, or a read eval print loop, at the bottom here. It sort of looks like a command prompt or something. Emacs helpfully tells us connected, let the hacking commence. So Lisp, as you may have seen it, uses these parentheses, and these parentheses basically stand for function application. So to add things, instead of saying 2 plus 2, this is going to give us, it'll just say 2 because slime read in a 2 at the end, and that's what it's printing out. To actually add two numbers, you would have to do a function application plus, and you'll see in the bottom it tells you, it gives you a sort of definition for the function that we're using. One of the many useful things about slime. Plus 2 obviously gives us 4. You can do all sorts of arithmetic, but you have to use this kind of prefix notation, which for arithmetic is not the most natural or fluid, especially if you're used to other languages like Python or a C-based language. But you will see for other kinds of functions, this is absolutely the most natural way of doing it. in Lisp. It's a very elegant language. But that's how we set everything up. We have Emacs set up with Slime. In the next presentation, I want to go over how to define a variable, how to define a function, and more about this sort of prefix function call notation that Lisp uses. Thank you for tuning in. See you in the next one.